What's good? Welcome to another episode of Sensible Reactions. Listen, baby, we are still going with our psychology class, and this is Spirit Week, okay? So this is PJ Day, and go see goats, baby, okay? Okay, so we still rolling. We are going to be moving on to psychology course, and this is going to be number 15. Now, this is pretty much on how your mind can amaze and betray you. And per the last episode, if y'all watched, do you know, baby, our memory ain't that great. We can recall what we don't recall, and what we did recall, what we didn't recall, what we recalled, because it's supposed to be recalled, even though we thought it was recalled correctly. All of the above, all right? We'll go ahead and get into this video. I'm not going to hold y'all up. Let's keep rolling. If I look orange, let me tell you, I've tried. We'll get it together. Stay focused. Stay focused, baby. Oh yeah, because I know I liked the other one, girl. The one before. The one that was before before. I need to go back and hit the like button.
Why do smart people make dumb decisions? Why do conspiracy theorists think that we didn't land on the moon or that Hillary Clinton is a space alien? And why won't
Well, I got a lot of reasons why I don't think that, yeah, okay.
Bernice admit that the new Superman movie just isn't very good? We've talked about cognition before. We usually refer to it as the process that we use to think and solve crossword puzzles and stuff, but really, cognition involves knowing, remembering, understanding, communicating, and to a certain extent, learning. And as truly wonderful as our brains are, we can be spectacularly bad at all of these things. We used to think that our cognition worked like a computer, logically processing information. But that cabbage-sized chunk of pink, wet brain matter in your skull can do a lot more than math, and the things that it does are certainly not always logical. Many experts argue that it's cognition that makes us truly human, and that everything that comes with it, our preferences, prejudices, fears, and intuitions, are what make us the individuals that we are. We're not the only animals that show some evidence of cognition, of course. Chimps and gorillas exhibit insight and planning, crows use tools, elephants...
Well, I don't know what crows eat. Wait. Oh, are crows herbivores or no? Because I was going to say, I'm wondering, is it because of what, like, gorillas, chimps, and all of what they eat?
teach each other, but our capacity as humans to figure stuff out is matched only by our ability to totally misjudge stuff. As prone as we are to brilliance and insight, we are equally likely to succumb to irrational thinking and false intuition. So to borrow a riff from Rene Descartes, you think, therefore you are.
You definitely have to work on it, baby. To me, it's pretty much in connection with discernment. So when you know how you know, you get it.
Which means you are brilliant a lot of the time, and sometimes you just kind of look stupid.
It happens to the best of us. It's okay to be wrong sometimes, though, you know.
Sense of the world. And one of the major ways our cognition allows us to do that is by forming concepts, mental groupings of similar objects, people, ideas, or events. We like to lump things together. Concepts simplify our thinking in such a fundamental way that we usually don't have to stop and think about using them. They're just there. And yet, without concepts, we'd need a unique name for everything. You couldn't just ask me to shake the anglerfish because there'd be no concept of shake or fish, let alone stuffed blue anglerfish. And if I told you that I was devastated that I lost my anglerfish, which I probably would be, I'd also have to explain my emotions, their intensities, even the words themselves that I had to use. So basically, without concepts, no one would ever get anything done. We'd all be like a bunch of ants taking all morning to say, hey, what's up? We often organize our concepts by forming prototypes, mental images, or pinnacle examples of a certain thing. For example, if I say bird, the general shape of a songbird probably pops into your head before like a penguin or a chicken or an emu, because robins and cardinals more closely resemble our bird prototypes. Still, if I show you a picture of some crazy creature you've never seen before, and you note that it has feathers and a beak, you probably file it under the bird category because it more closely resembles your concept of bird than your concept of rodent or overcoat or footstool. Concepts and prototypes speed up our thinking, but they also can box our thinking in and lead to prejudice if we see something that doesn't fit our prototypes. 100 years ago, the sight of a female...
I think we know how that's playing out currently.
doctor might have caused some heads to explode because in people's tiny minds, the prototypes of doctor and women didn't have any overlap. And actually, some people today still feel that way. Haters gonna hate. So it's important to like actively keep your mind open to make room for
Well, that's one way to sum it up, Hank. Haters are gonna hate.
evolving concepts, and remember that concepts may sometimes hurt as much as they help. One of the biggest ways our cognition works to our benefit, though, is through our ability to solve problems. We use our problem-solving skills all the time. How to assemble Scandinavian furniture, bake muffins with a missing ingredient, or handle the crushing disappointment of the new Superman movie. And we approach problem-solving in different ways. Sometimes we value speed, other times accuracy. Some problems
That Superman movie must have been really trash because he didn't reference this.
we figure out using trial and error. You know, you try something and if it doesn't work, you try it a different way and you keep at it until something works. Trial and error is slow and deliberate, which may be good or bad depending on the problem. We can also use algorithms and heuristics to come up with some solutions. Algorithms are logical, methodical, step-by-step procedures that guarantee an eventual solution, though they may be slow to work through. Heuristics, on the other hand, are more like mental shortcuts, simple strategies that allow us to solve problems faster, although they're more error-prone than algorithms. Say you're at a grocery store looking for a family-sized bottle of sriracha, you could use an algorithm and methodically check every shelf and aisle in the store, or you could use heuristics and first search the Asian or condiment sections, the places that make the most sense based on what you already know. Heuristics may be way faster, but the algorithmic approach
And the grocery stores have screwed that up definitely in ways.
guarantees you won't overlook the sauce along the way because they stuck it in the deli or whatever dumb thing they did this week. So algorithms, heuristics, and trial and error are problem-solving strategies that involve a plan of attack. But sometimes we get lucky while puzzling out a problem and, aha, out of nowhere, sudden flash of insight that solves the problem. I'll use orange in the muffin recipe instead of lemon, or sriracha lives in the Mexican section. For some reason, neuroscientists have actually watched that kind of sudden happy brain flash on neuroimaging screens. In one experiment, they gave subjects a problem to solve. What word can be added to the three words crab, pine, and sauce to create a new compound word? Then they asked the subjects to press a button when they had the answer. While the subjects thought about it, scans showed activity in their frontal lobes, the areas involved in the focused attention of typical problem solving. But right at that aha moment, just as they pushed the button, there was a clear burst of activity just above the ear in the right temporal lobe, which, among many other things, is involved with recognition. The answer, by the way, we already gave you the hint earlier in the episode. Where's my fish? Those sudden bursts of insight aren't awesome, but you can't always count on them to solve all your problems. And just because something feels right doesn't mean it's truly correct, because as inventive and smarty pants as we may be, our cognition often leads us astray in all kinds of ways. For instance, we often look for and favor evidence that verifies our ideas, while we're more likely to avoid or ignore contradictory evidence, a tendency known as confirmation bias. This is
Definitely know where that's playing out at right now, because he don't comprehend
really similar to the overconfidence we've talked about when you're basically more confident than you are correct. When this kind of cognitive bias takes hold, you might cling to your initial conceptions in a kind of belief perseverance, even in the face of clear proof to the contrary. This happens all the time, and it can be maddening for people watching it happen. People still think that the Earth is flat. It's like, what? How? There's
There's what, Hank?
space pictures. Probably don't need to tell you, people can get really weird and defensive when they evade facts and choose to see only the information that confirms their beliefs. They may even become functionally fixed, unable to view a problem from a new perspective. Instead, they just keep approaching a situation with the same mental set, especially if it's worked in the past. So you got a nail sticking out from a board, and you're like, I need to take care of that. There's rocks and bricks all around you, but because of your functional fixedness on the idea that only hammers work on nails, you don't even consider hitting it with the brick, and instead you waste a bunch of time looking for the hammer in your garage, and you're angry and frustrated, and there's still a nail sticking up from the board. So our mental set predisposes how we think, just as you'll remember that our perceptual set predisposes how we perceive. This is what makes heuristics, those super convenient mental shortcuts that we all use, so easily fallible. In the 1970s, cognitive psychologists Amos Tversky and Daniel Kahneman researched how we make snap judgments and discovered one way smart people make dumb decisions. They found that people believe an event will be more likely to occur if they can conjure up examples or memories of it, especially if those examples are particularly vivid, scary, or awesome. So say you're in a casino and you win $2 at a slot machine. Suddenly, every flashing light and ringing bell in the place goes off, but when you lose, which is the vast majority of the time, it's just crickets. With all their lights and noise making, the casino makes sure that wins are super vivid and memorable, while losses just go away unacknowledged. That way, the next time you're standing there with $100 in your pocket, you're more likely to overestimate your chances of winning because the memories of winning are more striking. The more mentally available those memories are, the more it seems that it's going to happen again. This is known as the availability heuristic, and it can warp our judgments of people too. If we keep remembering news footage,
it's so amazing how a lot of these things spiritually can be used to help us move forward, because delusion is a mother level, okay? Delusion is a mother level, all right? It really is. Delusion can work in your favor if it's used correctly, and delusion can also turn your life upside down. So it's good to be aware of your mind. Okay, baby? All right.
That shows people of a given group shooting guns, that can shape our impression of the entire group, even if what we saw was only a tiny minority within that group. Essentially, we're great at fearing the wrong things. We worry about being killed in a plane crash or getting bitten in half by a shark or accidentally choking on a dumpling. Thanks to our brain's B-roll of horrific images, we come to fear what's actually very rare instead of worrying about much more common but less memorable ends like car accidents, cancer, and heart failure. Our thinking can also be swayed by framing or how an issue is presented. Imagine you're considering climbing Everest or getting a nose job or eating a bowl of raw blowfish. I can frame the risks in different ways. Telling you that you've got a 95% chance of survival sounds a lot different than saying 5 out of 100 people die doing this activity, though the information is the same. Our cognitive minds are capable of incredible intellectual feats and tremendous failures. We can solve problems better than any organism on the planet, but given the chance, we can also mess up a pretty simple judgment every day of the week. But if we're mindful of our capacity for error, and if we honor our ingenuity and intellect, I think our ability to solve any problem is nearly infinite, and that gives me a lot of hope. Seriously though, where is my fish? Today, you learned how we use concepts,
Honey, I'll tell you. You better use that brain and use it correctly. No, seriously, it's a lot. Our brain can do a lot of things. Our body can do a lot of things. Our nervous system. We are very capable, but it really takes knowing some of these small details to get it. And then doing some of your off research, which, by now we know, and I use it as spiritual, but we know, there's a lot more information out there. And this content is like a couple years old also, but we don't change. You feel what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure there's a lot more information out there in regards to these topics. So anything that you want to expand on, that's the whole purpose of me doing these videos, is so we can learn the basis, the core information, and reference this information in our everyday lives and see how we can work with our minds to do better, be better, and advance a lot more, because we are very, 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 very capable. We just got to do the work. And like I said before, so many distractions, as we know, so many things. And the trust is by design, okay? All right. So use your own common sense, and also be open to learn new information and hear different points of views and consider as well. And like you said, changing up your mindset, the way you approach what it is that you're learning. So a lot of good information there. Excuse me. A lot of good information there as well. So, baby, don't sleep on yourself, okay? Listen, want to catch me live? Go to the link down below. This is my Twitch. Of course, you have to follow, hit the notification bell so that you are notified when I'm live, so that you can come in and kind of have some real time conversations with me, because I would love that, okay? Like, that's what we're here for, to learn, to converse, to expand mentally with each other, and also, man, to update. Like, it's so much information, so many new discoveries. Like, I'm all about learning, especially things that matter, okay? Because what I have is my personal knowledge and opinion, and the only law for me is the universal laws, the laws of the universe. What governs us all. So, yeah. Okay, and I know not everybody walk by the same rules. Different conversation for a different day, but what I believe is what I believe. So that's just that. Okay, this is what it is. So listen, man, I appreciate everybody for continuing on with this series with me, there also are some on-demand videos on my Twitch, so you definitely can check out some content that I've done recently as well, so that you can tap in. And also, again, for the people who are on Twitch, definitely go to my YouTube channel. That's ShAyee, ShAyee. So just take off one of the E's and tap into some of my other content. So I need y'all to like ooh 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 ooh. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, let's get it intertwined. Let's connect like the neurons, like the nervous system. All right, y'all have a good one.